Well, it's Thursday, and we're doing this one kind of early. And now, courtesy of the Hilton guest line, Chris Simpson joins us to talk a little football. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
What's going on, Brian? Good morning. As always, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, thank you for coming on. Chris Simpson joins us every Thursday morning to take a look at his specials. We like to call them Simpsons specials. And we're going to start in the NFL because we got two big ones in college football we're going to spend a little more time with. Lions and Chiefs on Sunday Night Football at 8:15. And Chris, you have been saying this for 2 years now, and this past week proved it. The Chiefs just aren't right.
No, they aren't. And they think that they can just hit that switch whenever they want, and they feel they can play their best football. And I think that's catching on and that's catching up to them. You would have thought they learned their lesson after how embarrassed they were in the Super Bowl, courtesy at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles. But to me, the whole game changed when Mahomes threw that interception to Devin Lloyd and he took it to the house. Their defense doesn't scare me. Chris Jones just looks like he's not trying. Something's just not right with Kansas City. I don't know if the offense misses Rasheed Rice. Yeah, they got back Xavier Worthy, but I know Rasheed is that he's that possession receiver. They're not running the ball. The offensive line, they've only kept Mahomes upright and on his feet one time, and that was the win against Baltimore in Week 4. But other than that, yeah, the Chiefs just don't scare me. And I feel kind of hesitant saying that because the last time I said the Chiefs don't scare me, guess what they do? They repeat as Super Bowl champ.
Yeah, they got me too. But can you point to a game in the past season plus where the snowball kind of started downhill for Kansas City?
I mean, it was all last year, if we're being realistic. I mean, look, I wasn't impressed. And Brian, we talked about this. I was never impressed with their 9-0 start because they were just sliding by. They were never putting teams away left and right. Could have lost that game to Baltimore in Week 1. Could have lost that game to the Bengals in Week 2. So I count 2 losses right there. You can say it kind of caught up to them when they lost to Buffalo last year. Well, Buffalo always beats them in the regular season, but other than that, they just I don't get the fear from them anymore like we have in those years past. So you could say pretty much all of last season was when all of this started, except for one game. The best game they played last year was on Christmas Day against the Steelers.
And meanwhile, the Detroit Lions coming in as a team that will scare you. They are 4-1. Their offense is the best in the NFL right now, and now they go into they go into enemy territory in Kansas City. And look, if you want to look at their record early in the year and the opponents they played, Baltimore included, they've been there and done that already.
Yeah, but it's not their fault. They play who they play and they beat who they beat. I think that loss to Green Bay, it's almost ancient history, because after that, look at what they've done. I mean, what really impressed me was not the fact that they beat Baltimore, it was how they did it because they ran that football. And anytime Baltimore punched them, the Lions punched back. And here's the thing, you're not going to get explosives from the Lions offense. They're an offense that wants to run the ball. To me, they still have the best offensive line in the league, and they have complementary wide receivers. And on top of that, this is an offense that's methodical, and they know how to pick their spots. And I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Brian, I talked to you about this over the mic, off the microphone. You know who he reminds me of a little bit?
Who's that?
Amon-Ra St. Brown reminds me a lot of Hines Ward. A lot of him.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to go over the middle, the ability to block. I just think he's a better overall receiver than Hines was. And that's no knock
Yeah.
on Hines Ward. And I just like what the Lions are doing right now. They're doing it on both sides of the ball. They're violently and consistently attacking the line of scrimmage.
And that has been the key. And you and I have talked about this so many times about what the Lions need to do to flip their culture around. They needed to get a running game. They have that. And they needed to violently attack the line of scrimmage. And, for the past 3 years, we've seen them do that. They lead the league in scoring coming into this one on Sunday night. And yours truly will have the call Sunday on our edition of Sunday Night Football. Now we go to college football, and you want to talk about a couple of juicy ones in the Big Ten? Let's start in Eugene, Oregon. The seventh-rated Indiana Hoosiers get the test of their lives when they go to that loud house called Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, and they face the number 3 Oregon Ducks on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. You got to give Kurt Signetti a lot of credit. Yeah, we lost a couple of players from last year, but look where he has them again. Ranked in the top 10, number 7, if we're being exact. And this is going to be my first time getting the chance to see Fernando Mendoza play. It's one thing when you see highlights, but when you can actually sit down and watch these kids play, it's something special. From what I've seen, he just has such command and control of that offense. And their offense this year moves with a little more pace than what it did last year under Curtis O'Rourke. And then, on the Oregon side, I had the chance to break them down a couple weeks ago against Penn State. First time seeing Dante Moore play, and man, is this kid the real deal? A live arm, has the mobility, can extend plays, and has a pretty good weapon to get the ball to in the Corian Moore. So more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is gonna be fun. Can't wait to see how Fernando handles this crowd in this Oregon defense, because they're gonna throw a lot. And Dan Lanning, I think, is one of the 3 best coaches we have in the country today.
Oregon has a weapon at tight end. Sadiq is the real deal. This
Yes,
boy,
he is.
6'7", 260 pounds. It's all muscle. He can block, he can catch, he can run, because they've had him in on a couple of running plays. He is the X factor for me in this game on Saturday.
I agree with you, and he's actually mine as well, because he can create those mismatches. I don't think there's a linebacker or a safety that's going to be able to cover him. I would cover him almost how you cover Travis Kelce when he breaks out. The minute he breaks out of his route, you're playing single high. You have one guy on him, and then you have one guy over the top.
Kenyon Sadiq is our X factor in this game. What is your X factor for Indiana at Oregon? Number 7 and number 3 from Autzen Stadium in Eugene. But the day kicks off in part of my neck of the woods, Champaign, Illinois,
Yeah.
as the defending champion Ohio State Buckeyes visit Luke Altmaier and the Illinois Fighting Illini, who, except for the game against Indiana, have been a very pleasant surprise in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they really have. And Luke Altmaier is one of the most proficient passers we have in the country. He's completing 73% of his passes, and he's yet to turn the ball over, Brian. That might change on Saturday. Ohio
Oh, boy,
State,
it may.
listen, Ohio State, they've been on cruise control this entire year. And we could talk about their offense all we want, but it's their defense that's really stolen the show. They've only given up 25 points
Total.
this entire season, and they haven't given up a red zone touchdown. I look at Ohio State's offense, and yeah, Jeremiah Smith, he's gonna get his. I mean, that
Mhm.
goes without saying. But I think Carnell Tate, the Chicagoan, I think he's gonna be key in this one. He's 6'3", about 191 pounds. And they use him in so many ways on gadget plays, in the slot, wide on the perimeter. Has the ability to take those short passes and push them up the field for those chunk plays. And yeah, what can Illinois do to limit him? But Illinois has their own playmaker on their side of the ball, and he goes by the name of Hank Beatty. And I
Mhm.
am brave about this young man.
You see this smile on my
Yeah, I
face
see
being
it. I see it.
hey, being a fellow who's covered Illinois for some 2.5 decades. I
But
lived in Illinois for most of my life. Man, when they get X factors like that, like Beatty, oh my goodness, has he come on lately for Illinois?
he plays bigger than what he appears. He's a smaller receiver. Like, I want to say 5'10", 5'11", not the biggest guy, but he's physical, has a wide catch radius, and um he truly is Luke Altmaier's security blanket. He's a safety valve. He's that guy that he knows he can turn to when he's in trouble. So this is gonna be a fun one. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a trap game for Ohio State, but Ohio State can't overlook what's in front of them, because that's what can come back and bite you in the you know what, and it could hurt you and it could cost you a game. But all in all, I just think Ohio State across the board has way too much. They're the better defensive team, and offensively, they're going to get theirs. And it could be tough for Illinois to score on
We'll,
Saturday.
we'll stay here for a moment. The last time these two teams met with so much hanging in the balance was 2002. And that year, Ohio State had to win in overtime in Champaign for them to get their shot at the national championship. It could develop into that kind of game because on two occasions this year, Illinois was able to force 5 turnovers from their opponent, once at Duke and now at Purdue. But you got the champs coming into your house. So you know Champaign, Illinois is going to be off the charts. Fox Big Noon Saturday is going to be there.
Well,
I've been to a game at Memorial Stadium. One of my dearest friends, Brian Barnhart, voice of the Fighting Illini, he'll be on the call on the Fighting Illini Network. And I'll tell you something, when Big Noon Saturday or Game Day or whatever show makes their way to Champaign, Illinois, the whole joint shuts down, and they will be in the vicinity of Memorial Stadium on Saturday morning.
absolutely. Can't wait for it. Should be a fun game. Actually, a pretty intriguing week of football on, on both sides. I want to see how the Eagles bounce back tonight. And Brian, we talked about this. I think that loss to Denver on Sunday is kind of a wake-up call for the Eagles. Look, I talk to Cole Johnson just as much as you do all the time. What's going on, Coach? And Coach was saying that Philly has been toying around with their food a little too much.
Oh yeah.
And look, they could have lost to Dallas in week 1. They could have lost they should have lost to the Rams, if we're being honest. The Rams.
Absolutely. They should have lost to both of those teams.
Yeah. They should have lost to Tampa Bay, if we're being real, because they only played one quality half of football, but it caught up to them against Denver. And I just want to see where they go from here. And the Giants, oh God, the Giants they play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's the only good thing I can say.
Let's take a look at one more. Let's take a look at one more game before we go to a break. And this is a wild card game that I selected because one of these teams is supposed to be here, the other is not. It's this one in Tampa Bay. The 49ers and the Buccaneers, they flex this game from a 1 o'clock start to 4:25. Fox will have the call, and guessing Kevin Burkhardt will have the call for this game. But the 49ers, since the offseason, have been the walking wounded. And yet here they are, along with Tampa Bay and 4 other teams, sitting at 4-1 coming into this week.
Yeah, and how did I know you were going to this game? I just
you know me entirely too well.
I know you all too well. It's that chemistry. But I look at San Francisco and what they did last week in Inglewood was special. I mean, no one gave them a chance in this game. And B, I love a good music reference. It's the return of the Mac.
Yeah.
Is this?
He
looks like a different guy now. I mean, he looks more comfortable. He looks happy. And, we knew he was a good quarterback. It just all depends on coaching. And I know I've given Kyle Shanahan a lot of flack over the years, but what he's doing right now so far has been superb. You're without your starting quarterback. You're without your starting tight end. You're without Ricky Pearsall, but he's expected to be back on Sunday. You haven't had Brandon Ayuk. You're missing Nick Bosa. Fred Warner was out of that game. And right now, you have your football team sitting at 4-1. And not only that, they're undefeated in the division. And what do I always tell you? What do I always tell you? In order to win your division, you have to do what in your division? You have to win within.
You have to win within your division.
You have to.
You've told me that for many years. And here in San Francisco, halfway through their schedule in the West Division, and they're 3-0.
Yeah, and then on the other side, Tampa Bay. That was all I can say. Like, you talk about never being out of a game. And the other day, I was asked, what do I like about this group? I like their mental fortitude. They're tough. And they take what their leaders give them. Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles have created quite the tandem, and they play hard for one another. And Emeka Egbuka, he was my offensive rookie of the year. Coming into this season, and so far he's looked really good. Tampa, I love their defense. They're physical, and man, that was such a tough win for them last week in Seattle, getting that
Yeah,
turnover and just coming away with the victory because it's tough to get a win in Seattle. It,
it
it, it
is.
really is, but they came away with it. I see this coming down to the fourth quarter. I
Mhm.
like Tampa by 4. I say 31-27, Brian.
It's going to be, and people won't believe me when I say this, but I will continue to say it. When I looked at this matchup, this is going to be a wild offensive show, given how
I
these
agree.
two teams play. And do not be surprised if it winds up with the same score like it was in Seattle. Dr. K says we have time for one more, so
Let's
let's
go.
give her the one that she's looking for. The Arizona Cardinals and the Indianapolis Colts, 1 p.m. at Lucas Oil Stadium. Yours truly will have the call on Snowman Sportsnet for that. Talk about these resurgent Colts, man.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. First, they have a healthy Jonathan Taylor, and you know my rule. You better have
Mm.
a game if you got 2 first names. Brian, say it with me.
Mm.
You better have game. Look, he's laughing, y'all.
You
You
better have game if you have two first names.
It's only right. And he's healthy. What a difference being healthy is, but it's been the emergence of the quarterback. It's been Daniel Jones' show because he doesn't have to deal with that New York market now. Like he's
Right.
in a way smaller market, and he can just worry about being quarterback. He doesn't have to worry about, oh, am I gonna be on the back pages of the NY Daily News, which you don't want to be on.
You
But
don't.
no,
You
you don't.
don't.
Oh, Brian, you've been here. I live here. You know how it
I've
is.
been in that. I've been in that market. I have listened to radio in
Yeah,
that market. I know a few people out that way, yourself included. And man, if you get on that back page, it is not
yeah.
good
No,
at
it's not.
all.
Then you look at Arizona, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And I have no problem with what Jonathan Gannon did with confronting his player, and he was fined $100,000. Look, I would start a GoFundMe to pay that fine because he did nothing wrong.
Right. I
He
agree.
did nothing wrong. I just saw a coach reprimanding a young man, plain and simple.
Yes. Yes.
Look, never did I think I would ever say this in all my years of breaking down the sport. I trust Daniel Jones a little bit more than I do Kyler Murray, and I think the
Hmm.
Colts are going to come away with a victory, and they're going to continue to be one of the surprise darlings of the NFL this year.
And I never thought I'd say this since the days of either Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, but the Colts come into this game on Sunday averaging 32 points a game.
Wow.
They hung 40 in succession on the Raiders this past Sunday after the Raiders jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and then the Colts just went to work and hung 40 consecutive points. We got that one. We got the 49ers on Sunday, and of course, we got the 2 in the Big Ten. It's a busy week here on Snowman Multimedia and Snowman in the Morning. My buddy Chris Simpson breaking it down as he always does each and every Thursday. My brother, I love you very much. Thanks for coming on, and I can't wait to do it again.
Much love, and I'll be in a booth with you very soon. We got to come up with something for sure.
We
Thank you
we
for having me on, as always.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can't wait to be in the booth with you again.
My man. My man.
After the break, the main event, we get Totally Deets. Snowman in the Morning, back in the deuce.